Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube live video on making herbal pestos and lemon balm Chermoula. I am streaming from Bayfield, Wisconsin, Anishinaabe territory, Lake Superior. And I want to just get started. So I learned about making herbal pestos from one of my mentors, late Carol Jacobs, who was an herbalist in Winona, Minnesota for many years. Renegade, contrary herbalist, really focusing on food and nutrition and holistic wellness with herbs and food. And getting as much herbs into the body with via food as possible. Carol was focusing on ferments, which is what inspired my fermentation. And I'm not actually sure, I don't recall any particular recipes that she shared with pestos, but the herb community down there was really into pestos, and another of my peer/mentors, Johanna O.T., really got me into making pestos with herbs and weeds, which is what we're going to do today. The Chermoula is something that I got tuned on into last year. I don't even remember how, but when I made it the first time, I was just amazed. I had attempted to make cilantro pesto and parsley pesto in the past, but never with great results. And when I made the Chermoula, I was just like, oh yeah, okay, so this is how you do it. Chermoula is a Moroccan condiment that is like centering cilantro and parsley. I add lemon balm because lemon balm is an amazing herb to eat. It's one of several herbs that's better fresh than dried, and it's a food medicine. So I like to do Chermoula with the lemon balm to get more lemon balm into my body. Lemon balm is a nervine, supporting the nervous system. It's a digestive, and it's a heart supportive herb. So I'm going to demo making these two condiments today. And I think I'm going to turn this around to see if we can get a better light. There, that's better. So this is going to be made in a blender. You certainly could do it by hand. That would be an immense amount of work, and it's totally possible. I have friends who make their pestos by hand. I choose not to. So I'm going to start with the lemon balm Chermoula. So I'm going to take lemon balm and I'm going to strip the leaves off of it and put them in the blender. The recipe that I've used in the past calls for about 1.5 cups of parsley and 1 cup of cilantro. I'm just eyeing it. I don't use a recipe. I just kind of do things by feel and taste. And that's how I suggest that people do them as well. So for this recipe, I probably do about equal parts of parsley and cilantro and lemon balm. If you do it by taste, then you're making it for your body as opposed to using a recipe that's made for somebody else's body. That being said, in Chinese medicine, herbs are balanced according to like specifics for how the herbs work with one another. But since this is food medicine, it's really more so about, for me, it's about pleasure, and it's about getting nutrients and herbs into the body. So my there's somebody that I know is using right now is using parsley and cilantro as detox herbs. So thinking about what are the medicinal qualities of this? Well, the lemon balm, nervines, the cilantro is really great at pulling heavy metals out of the body, and the parsley apparently also is a detox herb, which I didn't realize, and really rich in minerals and nutrients. So I've got lemon balm in here. Now I'm going to put in some cilantro. And I'm actually going to use some cilantro that has gone to flour. It's still perfectly viable. It's just like not as like ideal to use in this stage, but it's going to be just fine. So I'm taking off the flowers, and then I'm taking off the leaves, and I'm trying to leave the stems, which are like tougher. And then I'll add some cilantro that's more in like the stage where we're used to using it. It smells so delicious. So this condiment I will put on lots of different things. I am definitely a condiment herbalist. I make a lot of different condiments, and I really enjoy them. So this one could go on like any food that's made with like rice or noodles or potatoes. It could go on meat. It can go on veggies. It can go on eggs. You could, keep it kind of like ethnically appropriate and like put it on Mediterranean or Mediterranean food. Hello. So I am, taking off these leaves and flowers and putting them in here. I'm recording something. Good. Thanks. Bye. Okay. And putting it on bread or toast can also be lovely. It's really hard for me, like that question of like, oh, what do you put it on? Because I put like condiments on really like literally everything. I really, really enjoy condiments on almost every meal. And I tend to eat simple food, simple meals, and then like add these amazing condiments to them. So now I'm going to chop up the cilantro. That's like the normal kind of cilantro that you might buy at the farmer's market or the co-op or the grocery store. I'm going to chop that up and put that in there. And then I'm going to put in the parsley. And then I'm gonna put it on the base and I'm gonna blend it. And so I really enjoy putting preserved lemons in this dish. It calls for lemon juice. So what I'm doing is I'm embellishing that lemon flavor that is very prominent in this condiment. So preserved lemons, I have a video on making preserved lemons. So I don't have any preserved lemons right now, so I'm not going to put them in, but I put the whole preserved lemon in and just blend it up. I take the seeds out. For this one, I'm just going to add some lemon juice and some olive oil. And I'm probably going to have to embellish a little bit. And I will post a recipe on the description for this video so that you have a recipe to go by. Then the other two things that this one calls for are cumin. I'm going to just use powdered cumin. If you're using whole cumin, I think you should grind it first. And paprika, plain paprika, not smoked paprika. And salt. Did I already say that? I think I already put salt in. And now I'm going to blend it, and I will come back in a moment. Oh, I just realized the other thing that this one is missing is garlic. You can use cloves of garlic, or you can use garlic scapes. This time of year is when the scapes are, so I'm using garlic scapes. These ones actually had been put in the freezer for me to make pesto out of. So during garlic scape season, I will put the scapes in the freezer so that I can use them later in the season to make pesto, because I'm making a lot of pestos before the garlic bulbs are ready. So I'm putting about 8 scapes in here. Roughly cut. Now I'm going to grind it. All right, so my chermoula is done. It's really delicious. Definitely better with preserved lemon. I might add a little bit. Well, maybe I won't add a little bit of anything. I think I'm not going to add anything to this one. I might add a little bit more olive oil. Adding the olive oil allows it to be a little bit more pasty, allows it to grind a little bit more fully. Yeah. It's really delicious. I can't really taste the lemon balm because it's masked by the lemon juice, but the cilantro flavor is prominent, but also not too strong. I used about a teaspoon of coriander and a teaspoon of paprika, half teaspoon of salt. It's a really nice blend. So I'm going to put it in a jar. And then I'll put it in my refrigerator, and it'll be good for several weeks. You could also put it in the freezer at this point if you have an abundance of parsley and an abundance of cilantro or an abundance of lemon balm. If you only have, like, if you don't have lemon balm, this recipe is really wonderful without lemon balm as well. If you don't have parsley, but it's pretty important to have both the parsley and cilantro to get the flavor right. I could see maybe playing around with lemon balm, cilantro, and maybe some other weed. If you don't have parsley, I think that the flavor will be different, but I think it would still be really nice. So that's the chermoula. And next I want to do weed pesto. I'm going to scrape this out, but I'm not going to wash it because I'm not that worried about a little teeny bit of contamination. So for the weed pesto, I'm going to, again, use the garlic scapes. And I'm going to blend the garlic scapes and the nuts first. If I'm doing garlic or garlic scapes, I always, when I'm making a pesto, I'll blend those before I add the herbs. It just helps with making it to get the kind of bigger, harder things blended up before you put the herbs in. So I'm going to put in garlic scapes and I'm going to put in nuts. I've been using hemp hearts a lot because I'm trying to get more hemp into my body. I've also been using sunflower seeds because they're a little more economical than other seeds. Almonds are amazing. Walnuts are amazing. Pecans, amazing. I don't really use cashews. I don't know why. Pepitas are good if you're a pepita person. Those are kind of the nuts that I tend to use. So right now I put in some garlic scapes and I'm going to put the nuts in now. So I'm going to put in a handful of pepitas, a handful of almonds, and a handful of hemp hearts. So that's about a quarter cup. Each of those is about a quarter cup. And then I'm going to blend this up. So this ground up into a paste, which is nice. And at this point, we're going to add the herbs and the oil and the salt and a dash of vinegar. I like to use weeds, and I like to use delicious things. So the garlic scapes, I like to put in lemon balm. I'm not going to put in lemon balm today. Today I'm going to put in some lamb's quarters, a little bit of sorrel, which is there's garden sorrel, and then there's something that people call sorrel, which is actually oxalis. Wood sorrel is a plant that grows in the woods, not in the Midwest. So people call it wood sorrel, but that's actually, wood sorrel is a plant that actually doesn't grow here. But that is a nice one to add. It's a little bit lemony. So lamb's quarters are a common weed. They are wild quinoa, like North American wild, related to quinoa. The seeds are not harvestable for, well, they definitely could be harvested, but they're not like quinoa. They're not that big. So another weed, I'm going to put in a little bit of chickweed, which I also like to put into pestos. Chickweed is another garden weed. So if you don't have these weeds growing in your garden, you can get seeds and plant them, and then the weeds will come up, and then as you put in your garden plants, you harvest the weeds and you make pesto. Weeds are going to be more potent in nutrients, so they're going to be more nutrient dense than cultivated food, cultivated varieties. So I like to get a lot of weeds in my diet as much as possible, and making the pestos is a really nice way to get weeds in our diet because they're delicious and easy. I definitely use basil in my weed pestos. I love to use basil. I also use holy basil, which I'm going to add a little bit of today. So the way that the pesto is different from the chermoula in that it has nuts in it, and I don't put lemon in it. You can put like a dash of lemon in it just to help the body to absorb the minerals from the greens. But you could also put in a dash of vinegar. All right, that's enough of the chickweed. Now I'm going to put in oil. I like to have a lot of oil in my pestos and everything that I eat. I'm going to find that oxalis. This is the oxalis. Some people call it tasty. My kids call it tasty weed. Like I said, some people call it wood sorrel, but it's not wood sorrel. I suppose there's probably no harm in calling it wood sorrel. Doesn't offend me that people call it wood sorrel. All right, and then got some Tulsi tops, the holy basil plant. I just picked the green tops. You could certainly put in the flowers as well. I'm focusing on the greens right now, so that's what I wanted to put in to this preparation. At this point, I would put in basil. I would put in probably like a large amount of basil. I like to kind of put in as much like weeds and flavored herbs like at a 1-to-1 ratio. So right now it's mostly just weeds in here. None of my basil is ready yet, so I'm not going to put that in yet, but I'm going to blend this up. And then I put in a dash of vinegar. Blend it up again. And now it's time to taste it. Oh, it's yummy. Very nutty. It could use some more greens. The salt's good. The oil's good. It's not very vinegary, which is good. I don't want it to be too vinegary. I would like there to be some kind of a stronger flavored herb in there. So I would love to put some basil in there. And I could put this in the freezer, and then when the basil comes, I could take this out and use it. So the reason why I don't use like recipes is because the only way to really be standardized is to do weight, and doing weight is not something that I was acculturated to. My mother didn't cook measuring by weight. Nobody in my family cooked by measuring weight. And I've just find that it's just easier for me to do it by taste than to like have a standard recipe that I follow, especially since my ingredients are constantly changing. Like I'll use different nuts, I'll use different herbs and weeds, and there's really no way to like have the amount that I'm using of the weeds be consistent because I'm not checking the weight. So I can't use like a volume measurement to have it be consistent. So I am going to go see if I have any lemon balm that I could add to this to put lemon balm in it. Sometimes I'll use lemon balm and basil. That would be really nice. I could probably find a few basil leaves to put in here. My favorite pesto is lemon balm, lamb's quarter, basil, and garlic scape. That's the one that I make the most of, that I eat all winter long. So I'll put this into containers, and then I'll label it, and I'll put it in the freezer, and I'll take it out, and I'll eat it. Sometimes before I put it in the freezer, I'll pour a little bit of oil on the top of it. That oil allows it to like keep better. The top doesn't get oxidized. And when I take it out, I try to consume it within a couple weeks. If it's longer than a couple weeks, it might go bad. So that is what I have to say about making Chermoula and about making herbal pesto. I hope that you've enjoyed this session, and thank you for watching.